Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night, Indiana Volleyball played in front of a sold-out crowd against Purdue. We'll give you the details on the rivalry game.
And after the bye week, Indiana travels up to Michigan. We'll preview the game against the undefeated Wolverines. This is Hoosier Sports Night.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Ryan Costello.
And I'm Georgie Thomas. Ryan, it was so quiet in Bloomington this weekend.
I know there was no football game to watch. There was nothing to really do around Bloomington. It was so sad, but now there's the Michigan game.
I'm excited.
I know, but let's talk about some volleyball. Indiana Volleyball was back in Wilkinson Hall to take on number 15 Purdue. Our Kennedy Rekla has the recap of the much-anticipated rivalry matchup.
Indiana Volleyball welcomed number 15 Purdue to Wilkinson Hall for a game that many consider a rivalry, but few do not. Indiana started off hot, taking the first set 25-23. In the second, the Hoosiers fell short, but came back, taking the third and fourth sets. The Hoosiers took a win, 3-1.
It's crazy. We took 1 point at a time, and it was really important for us to win this match, and I think we took care of business.
I think we didn't really approach it as a rivalry match. We just approached it as another game. But, obviously, as soon as you see the jerseys in front of you, you're like, okay. But, they're a great team, and we just played our game, and that was the main thing that we harped on all week.
Mm-hmm. Cameron Hayworth led the charge, not only leading in assists, but also collecting 8 kills for the evening.
I think at a certain point, Cameron decided to shift into All-American Cameron, and she went to a different place. I think we had good distribution. I thought our back row kids played really well. Isa Lopez played great, and Greg Gosnell played great. I think Candela won us game 1, and that was a slimy, bad volleyball game. We weren't very good in game 2. We just stayed afloat. In games 3 and 4, I thought we mostly had control of it.
Snapping a 21-game losing streak, the Hoosiers took their first ranked win in Wilkinson Hall since it was first built in 2019. The Hoosiers will now look to face off against Michigan at home on Saturday before traveling to West Lafayette to once again face off with Purdue next Wednesday. For IUSTV Sports, I'm Kennedy Rekla.
The Indiana men's soccer faced off against state rival Evansville. Our Josh Pose has more.
After a big road win at Penn State last weekend, IU men's soccer was back in action to take on the Evansville Purple Aces.
A road win against a nice team of Penn State, there is certainly a boost in the group because they knew how important that was. So the timing of that game, that might have been part of the catalyst of what hopefully would foresee us. But I felt we were playing really well before. Just scoring was difficult.
Junior midfielder Patrick McDonald opened the scoring for the Hoosiers on a nice pass from Sam Sarver for his first goal on the season.
Feels great. Been waiting for it all year. I've had a good amount of chances in the final third of the season to finally put me back in the game,
And in the 27th minute, Indiana doubled their lead thanks to a tap-in goal from Carson Henderlong. The Hoosiers continued to have chances in the first half, but could not find the back of the net for the third time and led 2-0 at the break. In the second half, JT Harms and company kept things clean even after an hour-long weather delay. Indiana has now won consecutive games for the first time this season and improves their record to 5-3-4. They will return to Big Ten play on Sunday as the Ohio State Buckeyes come into town. First kick is scheduled for noon. For IUSTV Sports, I'm Josh Pose.
The Indiana women's soccer team took home the Golden Boot for the first time since 2014 in a 1-0 win at Purdue. Senior midfielder Anna Bennett scored the game-winning goal just 37 seconds into the matchup after the Boilermakers failed to clear the ball from the box. Bennett's goal tied the record for the fastest goal in regulation by a Hoosier since 2011. The Hoosiers earned their 8th shutout of the season with help from Jamie Gerstenberg as she recorded 2 saves and is now tied with former teammate Bethany Kopel for the most career shutouts in Indiana history with 23. The Hoosiers continue Big Ten play as they take on Michigan State tonight at 7 p.m.
Coming up after the break, we crown this week's Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week.
And field hockey took on Louisville. This is Hoosier Sports Night. Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night.
Joining us in studio for this week's Hoosier Highlight is IUSTV sports reporter Caleb Robbins. Caleb?
Thanks, Georgie. Indiana men's soccer won their match 2-1 on Saturday, led by our Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week, Sam Sarver. Sam Sarver is a junior forward from Chesterfield, Ohio. He had his best statistical game of the season against the Penn State Nittany Lions, finishing with 3 shots on goal, 2 goals, and 4 total points. Sarver received 2 pinpoint passes from defender Hugo Bacharach, which resulted in the 2 deciding goals. Due to his outstanding play, Sarver received his first ever Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week honor. Sarver and the IU Hoosiers take on the Ohio State Buckeyes on Sunday at Bill Armstrong Stadium. That's all for this week's Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week. Back to you.
The Indiana football team got a much-needed bye week last week after a rough loss at Maryland. Although they didn't play a game this week, they still felt like they got better with a coaching change. Rod Carey replaces Walt Bell as offensive coordinator of an offensive averaging just 15 points per game against FBN's opponents. Carey has made it clear he doesn't want to change much about the current offensive game plan this late in the season. Head coach Tom Allen talks about what this change means, how it affects the offense, and what they look forward to improving on moving forward.
So basically, you're just trying to, now that we kind of know who we are and the things we do, do well, emphasize, continue to grow those, and then obviously address the issues, not being able to finish drives and, our red zone, efficiency and being able to get those, third and shorts, in the score zone, the red zone to finish out those drives.
The Hoosiers will face a tough task taking on a second-ranked Michigan team with one of the best defenses in the country on Fox's big noon kickoff.
The field hockey team went 1-1 in their past 2 games, starting with beating Bellarmine on Sunday. On Tuesday, the Hoosiers faced number 5 Louisville Cardinals. Indiana's defense held strong for 3 quarters, leaving the score 0-0. Louisville's offense came alive in the 4th quarter when they had their first goal. The game ended when the Hoosiers could not execute their penalty shot, with a final score of 1-0 Louisville. Indiana will look to bounce back this Friday at home against Iowa.
The IU women's golf team traveled to Virginia Beach Sunday for the Evie Odom Invitational. The Hoosiers finished 11th with sophomores Faith and Chloe Johnson leading the way, shooting a .221. Faith converted on 3 birdies on the weekend, while Chloe recorded 4. The team will travel to Starkville, Mississippi for the Alley Invitational starting October 23rd.
IU men's tennis traveled to the Bobby Bayless Invitational this weekend at Notre Dame. The Hoosiers sent 4 players to the Invitational, with each of them competing in 3 singles matches and 1 doubles match. In the singles, it was a rough weekend for the Hoosiers, with only 1 out of 4 competitors, Luke Bolia, finishing with a .500 record. In doubles, it was more of the same, with IU only knotting a single doubles win. Up next, the Hoosiers traveled to Chattanooga, Tennessee for the ITA Regional Championships.
Joining us this week to preview the weekend in Hoosier Sports is Olivia Stone. Olivia?
Thanks, Georgie. As IU heads into fall break, let's take a look at where your Hoosier athletes are competing this weekend. On Friday, the cross-country team travels to College Station, Texas. And field hockey battles Iowa at our very own Deborah Tobias Field at 3 o'clock. A strong Saturday begins when Indiana football travels to Ann Arbor, Michigan to take on number 2 Michigan Wolverines, with a kickoff at noon. Later that night, volleyball faces Michigan home. On Sunday, the men's golf team makes their way down to Vero Beach, Florida for the Quail Valley Collegiate Invitational. Both men's and women's soccer host games at Bill Armstrong Stadium, with the men taking on OSU and the women going head-to-head against Michigan. And that wraps up this week's Candy Stripe calendar. Back to you.
And that's our show for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV Sports to keep up with all the latest in IU athletics. For our production crew behind us, I'm Georgie Thomas.
And I'm Ryan Costello. We'll see you next week.